Before we even start learning about Windows Server 2019 and start to do the installation configuration, it is really important for you if you are just starting to learn Server 2019 or any other Windows server, you need to learn the concept first that what is the server actually. So if you already know it, you can skip the video, but we will be going through some pure examples here. And one of the greatest example I can give you here is like I still remember that when I just started to learn IT. At that time, I was learning like Windows 98 and our disk operating system DOS, where there was no graphic user interface. Everything was command line, and our instructor most of the time was asking us, "Hey, if you need some material, you basically need to bring a floppy drive and then I'll just copy that for you." Wow, the technology has changed a lot. So here is an example that I got for you. So in this diagram, you can see that this is me and this is my friend Frank, right? Example. What is happening when there is no server? This computer that you see here, it's a standalone. This is a standalone, right? There is no networking done. If I want to work on this computer, I have to work locally. The files and everything is stored locally, meaning that if this computer crashes, everything is gone. Again, if I want to transfer a file to my friend Frank, what I'm gonna do in here is I have to use a floppy drive, which we don't have anymore, by the way, um, and we have a flash drive. So I need to copy it through the flash drive, and then once I copy it, I can simply take it to my friend Frank, and then my friend Frank can actually copy it on his PC, right? That's how it is gonna work when you are working locally in a machine. Same thing. Another example that I can give you here is that is how can I actually print if I don't have a printer here? I will again have to use a flash drive and then copy it and then go to Frank and say, "Hey Frank, can you just simply print it for me?" And then Frank will stick that into his PC and then he will print it for me. All right, so that is how things work in a client operating system. So client operating systems like Windows XP, Windows Vista, Windows 8, Windows 10, all of them are called client operating system, or you also call it like end user operating system, right? Again, this was actually challenging, and if it's a computer that you have at home, you can simply actually use it that this way that you see it in the diagram. But if you're working in an office, it really makes it hard, right? So now the solution here is that we really need something where I can simply send a file to Frank without USB. And if Frank is living in California and I am living in, for example, India, what I can do is I can simply send that file to Frank without any delays and without like mailing that USB to him, right? Because that is going to cause a lot of um, problems in terms of time and cost. You have to pay a lot of money to just transfer some files and much more. And these days, USB drives are like you can't just send your confidential data. You have to make sure it's encrypted. A lot of challenges, right? So there should be a way that I should be able to send those files, or another example is I should be able to print directly from Frank's computer if we are in the same office or we are in the same building or same network. I should be able to. How can I do that with these two computers? Can I do it? The answer is I can actually do that, but if we really want to bring something special in place, that is actually a server, right? The server is going to help us do all those things. In this diagram, you can see that I have one, two, three, four, five computers. All of them are connected through a switch, and then they're connected to the server. And now server, in the other hand, is providing me all the services that I need. For example, if you see here, this is my email server. Again, I have like other servers, like I have web server, database server, file server. So what I can do now is, if I want to actually send a file from one PC to another PC, I only need to use my email address, and through that email address I will simply click on send button, and then it will directly send my email to the destination email address. So these days you have like gmail.com, hotmail.com, they are all email servers. So those, like in the background, all of them are email servers that is in use. So if you have an Hotmail account, whenever you send an email, your emails, your files, your attachments, everything is stored in a server, and that is a email server, and an email server, and there is all your emails stored, and that's how this email server actually routes the email from one place to another place, and then when it is received, it actually routes it to you. Same thing with a web server. So with a web server, you, like these days we access google.com, right? So what is this google.com? This google.com is actually a server, and that is called web server. So what are you doing here is you're accessing a web server, and then it is actually showing the content of that page. So if you are working for a company, your company will also have their own web server for like it will be .com, or like it can be anything. It is just a way which actually helps businesses to promote themselves, and many other reasons. And then we have like file server. File server is also one of the servers. So Frank was actually copying files, like I was copying files, taking it to Frank, and then it was taking a lot of time. What we can do here is, like, if we have one server, like hundreds of computers connected on this network where we have this file server, all of them can actually access files that we have stored here. You can apply different permissions, but everyone can actually access these files. So you don't have to copy things to the flash drive. You just call, like if you're in New York office, you call in like Las Vegas office and say, hey, the file is already in the file server. You just need to go there. You need to access it. So what are we doing in here is we are using servers to actually provide those services to us, and it depends like what kind of services we are actually using. If I go and down, and you see that I have another thing here for you. This is actually a data center. So data center is where we have all our network devices like switches, routers, servers, firewalls. Cabling is done, like everything, the cooling system, security system, and everything is just installed there. You can see in this picture I have like cabling done in here, and that's how these cables are just might be going to the client workstations, and then that's how they are connected to the server. And you can see that we have multiple racks in here. So these are called racks that we have, and then we have different cables. And then in here, if you see, we have like other devices in here. It can be like storage devices where you store your data. It can be servers. A lot of things can be in a data center depending on your business need. So it all depends like what is your business need, and based on that you can actually build a data center. So that was just an example for you. So when it comes to explanation of a server, server can also be called a responder because it actually responds to all requests that you make, right? Depends like what kind of requests you're making. Again, if you compare it with a laptop, if you compare it with a desktop, it is more powerful because it's bigger in size. They have like more computing resources. You will see a lot of like changes in there, and we will actually see that in our next lesson. I'll show you how the real server looks like when we do the purchase. Server provide various functionalities which we already discussed like file sharing, email, print and others. So here is a quick overview of the history. Click on the link and then it will actually give you different versions of a server, and it will give you a good information about what is the server. All right, I hope the video lesson was helpful for you, and I'll see you next lesson.